Doug Wead is in Washington. He's a presidential historian and author of books including George Bush, Man of Integrity. Doug, you worked with the president while writing the book, Man of Integrity. Why was integrity so important to him?
Wow, yeah, it was everything to him. That was his last message to the nation. If you remember in those debates, the last debate with Clinton and Perot, he emphasized integrity. People said that didn't work. In the second debate, they discussed the economy. In the third debate, he went back to integrity, and his advisors said, don't do it, that won't work. He said, I don't care, that's me. And the nation got Bill Clinton as president, and after a few years, came maybe to regret that, because the first polls that came out showing his son leading as a candidate for president showed that 30% of the voters thought it was George H.W. Bush, not the son. They didn't understand the son had become governor and was a candidate himself.
Remind us again a little bit about Mr. Bush's background. How did he decide to run for public office?
Yeah, shot down over the Pacific. It was just kind of born in public service. His father was a U.S. senator and a rather stern figure, made the grandchildren call him senator, not grandpa, at the dinner table. And George H.W. Bush grew up in that, and it was just something that he believed you should do. I heard him many times when he was asked that question say, you got to give back. I've got so much from this country, I've got to give back.
You know, in an article 2 years ago, Doug, you wrote that George H.W. Bush would be ranked as one of the greatest presidents in America. Why do you believe that?
Because I think in 100 years, historians will say Lincoln saved the nation, but Reagan and Bush saved humanity. We forget how dangerous it was. There were school teachers in Holland that were telling their students it doesn't matter what university you go to, because the world isn't going to exist when you go to the university. And it was a time when there were still concentration camps and gulags under Gorbachev, and the Chinese and Russian governments were backing Pol Pot, who murdered half of his regime. Actually, George H.W. Bush kept someone who'd escaped the killing fields on his senior staff to remind him of that. So this was a very dangerous time, and George H.W. Bush, what he didn't do, the restraint he exhibited, is what helped bring the Cold War to an end. Yes, Reagan started that process. He called for the Berlin Wall to come down, but it came down under George H.W. Bush. I watched it from my White House office on TV. It had a lot to do with what happened.
Historian Doug Wead, we're so grateful, Doug, you could join us with your perspective.
Thank you, Elaine.